Here's a book I never thought I'd be reviewing. Farah is a huntress. The skin of a wolf would bring enough gold to feed her sisters for a month, but the life of a magical creature comes at a steep price, and Farah has just killed the wrong wolf. Well, whoop-de-doo. So a few weeks or days ago, I don't know, time is a flat circle, I did this experiment where I read 8 of the best or most popular, rather, romance books out there on the internet. You can watch it here if you haven't. And during the same time, I read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, which you would think I would put in that video because the book is very appropriate. However, it was not a part of my initial plan, and to be honest, the video was already getting out of hand. I think the end version is around an hour and a half. Any hoops, I was left with the vlog for this book kind of hanging out there and didn't know what to do with it, so I decided why not just post it separately, which I am doing today. I hope you enjoy it. What a perfectly gloomy day to be doing this. Ideal reading weather, if you ask me. My God, Farah's sisters are terrible. I remember this from the first time I read the book. I had forgotten it, but these are terrible, terrible siblings. The amount of entitlement and lack of responsibility is astounding. I can maybe understand that if they were in a normal situation, but they are really struggling, and not only are they taking advantage of their sisters' goodwill to take care of them, but to add insult to injury, they are being super terrible towards her. Maybe not Elaine so much as Nesta, but they're just manipulative in different ways, and both of them suck. I mean, your father is mostly inert, which in and of itself is really frustrating to me. I can understand that people fall into depressive states, but the parental responsibility is to take care of the family. And call me heartless, but I just cannot imagine how you can stand idly by and just be pleasant and pretend like nothing has happened when your youngest daughter has to go to the dangerous woods to hunt. It's not just like any woods. There's Fae there and it's dangerous, and you can just let that happen and, you know, chill at home while she's doing that. Maybe you can pick up a trade, do something, figure out a way, like not for yourself, but for your family, for your kids. This is the ultimate thing that should pick you up off the ground and get you to do something. Taking care of your kids. I don't know. I have empathy for her father, but I can't like him. And as much as I dislike Nesta, I can kind of understand her attitude towards him. I think there are better ways to express that. I think she's also full of crap, but I cannot excuse his behavior either. Oh my God. Here's something mildly amusing. I never realized the first time I read this book that this was actually the Beauty and the Beast retelling. I don't know how I missed that. Tamlin is outright referred to as a beast in the beginning of the book, so maybe that speaks of my level of investment the first time I read it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention that much, but oh my God. And I guess the name Farah is actually a derivative, or a version rather, of Belle, which in French means beautiful. So yeah, this is embarrassing. I gotta give Farah this. She's very resourceful, always looking for a way to get out of a situation, even if it's slightly ridiculous. Like trying to steal a butter knife to escape the lair of the beast. Phenomenal. I really like this plot point with the masks. I think it's very original because Tamlin is a beast and it's in his nature, and he doesn't have to change. The curse isn't that he turns into a beast, it's actually his nature. But the curse being that they have to wear the masks all the time, and everybody who's in his court also has to wear those. I think this is very nicely done. Oh, well, here's another thing I very much enjoy. How in the original story, Belle was so in love with books and she ran around and read all the time and was so impressed by the Library of the Beast. And in this case, Farah cannot read, and therefore, I mean, she's not completely illiterate, but she has a difficulty reading. So books are like the bane of her existence. I like that. I think it's very, very original. Okay, why exactly is Farah mad at Tamlin for trying to help her to learn to read? I mean, she wants to, obviously, and he offered very nicely, and then she just reacted in a very, very poor way, being upset that he wants to help her with that. I don't get it. Okay, I am at chapter 24 and I am a little confused. Is Lucian sickened by gore or isn't he? Because a few chapters ago, there was this fairy whose wings were taken and he vomited and ran away because he couldn't stand the blood or whatever, the sight of it. And then in this chapter, he has absolutely no issue retrieving and looking closely up an impaled head. It seems like a character inconsistency and I really, really dislike that. Okay, we are at chapter 25, and the author just did this thing I really hate in a lot of fantasy romance books, where in order to preserve the main character, main heroine, pure and innocent, but get her to do the crazy stuff that we want to see her do, we get her drunk. And in a very, very annoying way, where Lucian pointedly told her that drinking this wine is gonna get her out of control and into trouble, and she still went ahead and did it. It just makes her seem irrational and stupid. I just wish that the author would either keep her pure or whatever as she wants her to be, or just go ahead and give her agency. Whenever she wants to act out, she acts out. Okay, so we reached the end of chapter 29, and here Elaine and Farah are going to their old cottage, and they're looking at it, and Farah is commenting that Elaine looked at the cottage with hope, while Farah looked at it with hatred, and I knew which one of us had been stronger. Sure, that would have been the case if it wasn't the fact that Elaine has been sheltered her entire life. She didn't have to go to the woods to kill for food. She didn't have to face any of the reality. She pranced around like it's no biggie, like, well, somebody's gonna find a solution. She never really had to be a grown-up. So yeah, of course she's gonna look at things with hope instead of hatred. She could continue being innocent and childish because she never really had to face up to anything. So no, I'm sorry, Farah, but you cannot call somebody strong for taking advantage of you. I just realized that the first time I read this book, I don't know how many years ago, I was very focused on the romance and how annoying it was because, to be honest, it's a pretty annoying romance. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just kind of lame, especially given the fact that at the time I already knew that Tamlin wasn't gonna be her end guy. I don't know, what is it called? Like a mate? Is that what they call it? But this time what I'm paying attention to is more so the relationship, the familiar relationships, and how people are treating each other and whether there's character consistency. So this is a completely different reading experience for me, and although I am finding quite a few inconsistencies and things that aren't great, to be honest, I am still having a great time reading this. Okay, so Farah is back to Fairy. Is that what was the name of the lands that the Fae occupied? Doesn't matter. She's back and she's talking to Alice, and they're discussing how this all happened. We discovered what the curse is, or did we? Like, I'm a little confused as to what Amarantha did and how she did it. I really like the backstory, by the way, that she's actually given a reason to be so unpleasant, let's put it that way, that it's not just a mustache twirling villain, you know, for the sake of being bad. So that I like, but I'm a little confused as to how this magic system exactly works. What did she do and how did she do it? Obviously, it's a soft magic system, and I'm guessing that's not the point, but I would like a little bit more clarity as to how things are being done, because I am struggling to understand the balance of power in this universe. Okay, so we are in the court of Amarantha under the mountain or whatever this is. And I have a bit of an issue with the deal that they made. Why did Amarantha give Feyre this riddle? What's the point? Like, you already have her. You already have this deal that you made with her. Why throw her an out? This seems like a plot device to get Feyre out of trouble last minute, which I'm pretty sure that's what happened, generally speaking. I just don't understand. It makes no sense. First of all, this riddle is probably something stupid like love or the heart or something that's very, very easy to reason within 3 months. I mean, why give her this opportunity? It just makes no sense. You're making it easier for her. It's working against your own interests for no reason whatsoever. It seems pretty stupid to me. Okay, it is much later in the day now. It's actually evening outside. You can't see that. I don't know why I'm showing you. Just took a shower and I'm about to put some face mask or whatever this is for the night, and I wanted to update you on my reading. There is something that kind of a little bit bothers me about this book, and it's still about this riddle that Amarantha gave Feyre, because it kind of renders this whole trial moot. And I also wanted to mention that Talon's behavior during this trial is a little bit frustrating. You know, I can understand that he's trying not to get Feyre into trouble, but at the same time, I just don't feel like this matches his character as a whole, especially him seeing how Rhysand is taking charge of some of the things. I don't think he trusts Rhysand, so him letting all of this in Rhysand's hands to handle, you know, take care of Feyre, just sitting there looking stupid next to Amarantha, I just don't see that as a proper behavior that will match his character. I don't know if I'm expressing myself properly. It just, something seems off about this whole thing. I have only a few chapters left, just the biggest conflict remaining. I didn't believe that I'm going to be able to finish this entire book today, but it would seem that way, so that's exciting. Oh my god. Okay, so chapter 46, and Feyre has just been turned into a fae, but the way that this is revealed, because it's a first-person narrative, so how she realizes it is just hilarious. Like, listen to the sentence. I pushed to my feet. I felt strong and fast and sleek and I'd become high fae. There must have been a better way to portray this discovery. And one more thing. They turned her into a high fae, but that was never really an option in the book before, right? This is not something that I knew that fae could do, that they can actually turn you into a high fae. Maybe I missed something, but I wish there was a little bit foreshadowing that this was actually an option for somebody to turn into a high fae, something that we could expect. This seems like a completely new ability invented in the 61st minute, as we say here in Bulgaria, to make sure that our main character doesn't die, which I don't think anybody expected her to actually stay dead. I gotta say, I do like the fact that Feyre actually is devastated by the fact that she had to kill those two fairies, that she doesn't just brush it to the side like no big deal because it had to be done. In a lot of books, I am sad to say, this would have been brushed to the side like no big deal because love. And I'm glad that the author actually decided to explore the grief and trauma that comes with something as traumatic and horrific as murder. Okay, so I just completed A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I gotta be honest, I had a great time reading this, kind of against my better judgment and my best expectations. To be honest with you, I have read, as I mentioned multiple times, this book before, and I kind of hated it, but right now I seem to have a way better appreciation for Sarah J. Maas, which is something completely unexpected because the older I get, the less patience I seem to have for flaky female characters, main characters specifically. So in this case, I was a little bit shocked just now to realize how much I enjoyed this. Obviously, it had a lot of shortcomings that I commented on, and a lot of things were just ridiculous about it, but for the most part, I really had a great time. I think Sarah J. Maas's writing style and the worlds that she creates are good enough to be able to carry me through a book and leave me with some great feelings about it, despite the fact that the book is obviously not perfect. I gotta say, I didn't much care for the romance. It wasn't necessarily annoying, but I didn't feel the sparks between those used to. It just wasn't there. And maybe it's because of the fact that I already know that they ultimately don't end up together. Maybe I would have felt differently if I thought that they were destined to be together. Either way, I think the story was interesting. I think there were some great choices made by the author, some very nice original choices to take this retelling to the next level. But I also think there were a lot of, not great things, such as the power balance was not clear. There was some plot points that were absolutely unnecessary and some that weren't executed to their best potential. With all of that being said, I think I'm gonna give this book 4 stars, and I'm not even ashamed. I think I'm just realizing this about myself, that I am turning into a great Sarah J. Maas fan. I don't know, this is not something that I expected for myself because I'm a bit of a hater. I do like to be quite critical about some things, but for some reason I'm willing to give grace to this author, maybe because I just enjoy her stories to such an extent that I'm willing to look past the shortcomings. This was an unexpectedly good Sunday of reading a book that I thought was going to be mediocre at best. In conclusion, I think this book is surprisingly good, and there is a reason why so many people like it. The story is not perfect, the characters aren't perfect, nothing is perfect about it, but it's fun enough to be worth your time, at least in my hater opinion. Do with that what you will. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see the whole romance reading experiment, check out this video. Bye!